Tomorrow is Kate and Oliver's wedding anniversary. That's a long time. 30 years together. The sons have grown up and gone to other cities to make a life for themselves. The relationship with her husband is close and affectionate. He is caring, affectionate, always sleeps at home, only goes away on business trips. Nothing foretold trouble. One day, she got a strange phone call from an unknown woman, which changed the whole life of Kate before and after. The woman who called set up a meeting for tomorrow at the Panda Café at 12:00 surprised Kate, not the call and not the appointment, but the cafe. After all, it was a kids' cafe. The next day, she was near the Panda at 12 sharp. But something compelled her not to go in, but to walk past. At the window, she saw a young woman, a boy of about 7, and her husband, Oliver, sitting at a table. She stepped aside to recover and think about what to do next. Suddenly, the same number called again. "Where are you?" The woman asked in an unpleasant voice. "I'll be here in 5 minutes." Barely containing a shiver in her voice, she lied. "Not anymore. You're late. I won't wait for you." Kate realized that the husband and the other family had already left the cafe, and the woman on the phone needed her to see the whole picture. Her head almost exploded with all the bad thoughts, and one question sounded: what to do? She wanted to consult with someone, to cry. But no, her mother had high blood pressure. She should not worry. Her friend would not support her, because she had always said that her husband was unfaithful. So she has to figure it out for herself first. Kate looked forward to the evening. Her husband came home, as scripted, and complimented her. He kissed her and asked for dinner. She didn't understand how he could be so duplicitous. Next, he asked her what she was doing tomorrow night. That's where Kate's heart flinched. She didn't know what to answer. Tomorrow was her wedding anniversary. She said she didn't have any plans. Great. Then can I invite William over? We'll watch the final soccer game. Okay, then I'll go over to Anne's for a chat. It's been a long time. Had he forgotten that tomorrow was the wedding anniversary? She thought. Kate had prepared a watch as a gift, and there were plans to cook a romantic dinner. The next day, Kate drove to her friend's house right after work. There was a look on her face that said something was wrong. "What's wrong?" asked her friend. "Oliver forgot that today is our wedding anniversary." Anne went back to her old story and started saying that their marriage would end sooner or later, that he wasn't right for her and would find another woman. She didn't like him. She came home upset and in tears. When she entered the apartment, she thought her husband was gone. The light was not on at home. Silence. As she walked into the hall, she saw 3 candles burning on a small table. Standing 2 glasses of champagne and her favorite sweets. He cautiously hugged her from behind. "You thought I had forgotten, but I remember everything. It's a surprise," and he handed her a box of fats. The surprise was really a success. She took a watch out of the closet and gave it to her husband. He was as happy as a child. I had dreamed of it for so long. The evening was very romantic and warm. They reminisced about their first wedding anniversary, the birth of a child. And as in their youth, they fell asleep only in the morning. In a tender embrace, all the foolish thoughts flew away. But then what did she see in the morning at the children's cafe? Over the weekend, her husband invited Kate to a restaurant to celebrate their wedding anniversary. And then the strange call came again from that unknown woman. "I know it sounds strange, but you should know your husband is hiding something from you. Stop calling me. I don't care if my husband has secrets of his own. If you don't stop calling, I'm going to call the police." She turned off her phone and decided that even if he has a second family and is diligently hiding it, it means he cares about Kate and will try to move on with his life as before. In words, of course, it was easy to live from scratch, but the picture from the cave kept popping up again and again in front of her eyes. Oliver was leaving on another business trip tomorrow. She'd had a hard time letting him go for 2 weeks before. Now it was becoming unbearable. She was becoming like some kind of maniac, a horny, hysterical woman, and she couldn't help but watch him leave for another city. As he packed his suitcase, she carefully watched what things her husband took with him. Noticing that he only took 2 pairs of socks, she wondered why so few. Oliver looked at her in surprise and said it never bothered you. I'll come to the store and buy a dozen socks and will not fold dirty and immediately throw out. Varia took the day off work in advance. Her husband took a cab to the airport, and she was hysterical and called a cab for the same time. As soon as Oliver drove off, she ran like a mad woman into the car and ordered her to follow that car. Everything was going as it should. Her husband's car was driving toward the airport. Kato had the last faith that he would leave. But when his car turned off the road toward the new houses, Kate's heart sank in her heels as she drove a little more behind Oliver. She saw him stop, grabbed his suitcase, walk up to the driveway, open the door with his key. So he wasn't just visiting, she realized. The woman had the feeling that her life had come to an end. The end of everything. She sat there like a dazed woman for 20 minutes. The cab driver couldn't take it anymore and asked her what to do next. She said, "I don't know what's next. It's the end. The end of my whole happy married life." The pain was so intense that she wanted to scream, to smash, to beat around. But she couldn't hold back the tears and bellowed. She didn't care what the driver thought of her. She was just in a lot of pain. When she calmed down a bit, she realized the city was behind her. They were driving along the highway along the fields. Now she was scared for her life. "Where are we going?" "Do not be afraid." "We are going to my grandmother's village." The cab driver answered calmly. "Why are we going there?" "You were busy and didn't answer my questions." "I plan to complete your order and promise to bring my grandmother raspberry seedlings." Indeed, a village appeared ahead. We were greeted by a little old lady of about 95. He hugged her tightly and got the seedlings. And when we went into the yard, the grandmother asked, "Why do not you invite a guest into the house?" He said something quietly and went on. But the old woman insisted that Kate come in and rushed to give them tea and cakes. They got to know each other. The grandmother's name was Lily, after her grandfather named his grandson Jack. After drinking tea and cake, they went to plant raspberries. All her thoughts drifted away, but now it was time to head back. So reluctant to go into town, Kate said, "So don't go. Tomorrow's the day off. I bet you're not working." The grandmother replied and left them alone with her grandson. Jack, the cab driver, offered to stay in the village as well. And on Sunday, he would come to help the old lady with the vegetable garden and take Kate back to town. The woman needed to stay in a different environment, and without thinking long, she agreed. When Jack was escorted out, Grandma and Kate went looking for something to change into. They found a dress in the right size. These were Jack's wife's clothes. With sadness in her voice, Grandma said. Kate, not caring, changed her clothes, and they went to the vegetable garden. She spent the day, admirably, harvesting the fall harvest, tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, all grown with the old woman's love. At the end of the day, tired, they drank milk with pies. Then she quickly drifted off to sleep. In the morning, she awoke to birds singing and cows mooing. She felt relaxed and calm. She realized that she would not fight for her husband. He had opted for another woman, and Kate wasn't going to be a second wife. In the kitchen, on a white knitted tablecloth awaited her breakfast, melt-in-your-mouth cottage cheese. Pancakes like sunshine, milk smelling of flowers. Since she was destined to find out about her husband's infidelity at age 50, that was God's decision. Life goes on, she thought. Lily came into the room and asked how she had slept. Thank you both for the bed and the breakfast. I'm ready to work for it today. Tonight, we'll just go out and see Mia, and I'll show you our lake. Later, they went half a kilometer from the village. Who is Mia? Kate asked. That's Jack's wife. Seeing the crosses of the village cemetery in the distance, they walked on in silence. Hello, Mia. We decided to wait out the winter and then put up a memorial for you. It was as if the grandmother was apologizing. The earth had just stopped settling. It would only be a year since they buried her. Kate suddenly saw something shining on the ground, picked it up. It was an engagement ring. That's when the old woman shrieked. This is Mia giving a sign, trusting you with her husband. Is that so? We don't even know him, and you're already asking him to marry you. That could happen. Kate spent all day in the kitchen with her grandmother, baking pies, frying meat, making pies, cooking different dishes. It was as if half the town was expecting a visit. Kate slept soundly that night. In the morning, she was awakened by the noise outside. When she looked out the window, she saw Jack and 3 other families. They were his 3 brothers and their children. All the newcomers began to get to know Kate quickly. There was a commotion. In all the hustle and bustle, she forgot she was unhappy. When evening came, everyone went home. Only the 4 of them remained. Grandma and Jack went to Kate's house. Alex, Jack's son, came over. Looking into her eyes in a serious tone of voice, he said, "Don't hurt him. He's a very good man." That's how they all got married. Nevertheless, Kate had a serious and difficult conversation with her husband. 2 weeks later, Oliver came home as if nothing had happened. Just as affectionate. Missed him. But Kate had been doing a lot of reconnaissance in the meantime. She reached out to a classmate of hers who works for the police. He found out that that unknown caller turned out to be the mother, the mistress, of her husband. Her husband couldn't make up his mind, so she decided to get involved. Kate's classmate took a vow not to turn him in even under torture, and he got his lover's phone number. When Oliver came in with kisses, pulling him away, Kate dialed her mistress number. And Oliver, when he heard her voice, understood everything. Now you don't have to make up any business trips. You're free to go. Kate put his suitcase with his things in front of him. I don't think you'll mind the divorce. I'll keep the apartment. You've stolen a lot of money from us over the years. Is the new house and apartment too, bought with our money? Oliver, with his head down, closed the door behind him. Without a word of regret, quietly left. 25 years of life together. Is it worth regretting? I don't know. But there's a price to pay for everything. Perhaps this is the price. For a future happy life, maybe with Jack.